Well, here's the thing. This is the first football show since the departure of Cristiano Ronaldo. So let's get your thoughts on it. How do you think the situation was handled? Was the right outcome achieved?
I think the situation was handled both poorly by Ronaldo and the club. I think handled well by Ten Hag, but the statement put out by the club, I don't think it was necessary in the way that they put it out. Just say you've separated, you've gone your own ways, and that's it. There was no need to put out what they put out. From Ronaldo's point of view, I didn't agree with the interview, with who he did the interview with. I didn't agree with that because I think he's after personal gain. And I think now that Ronaldo's left the club, I think it's a good thing for Manchester United. I think it's a good thing for the players in the squad because it's not all about him now. We talk about, bear with me, the result against Spurs, was it? Where he walked off down the tunnel? Mm-hmm. I'm sure it was Spurs, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it was.
we're talking about Ronaldo. Then the result against Fulham, Garnacho scores a goal. We want to talk about Garnacho, but Ronaldo releases the interview. It's all about him again. And you just think, that's not a football club, that's not a togetherness. And people often say that a player is never bigger than a football club. As a whole, Ronaldo was, and that was the problem. As an actual commercial asset himself, he's bigger than any football club. You only have to look at his following on social media, on what his endorsements are and things like that. So a legend of the game, incredible player, but I think it was the right time for him to move on, both for him and the football club.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think he's really struggled with. He's always been the best player, hasn't he? Teams have built their team around him, so it's Ronaldo starts and then who else is going to play? And I think he's just struggled as he's getting older that he might have to be a bit part player, and I just don't think that was him being able to do that, and you just think it would have been fantastic because what a brilliant player he is. He's still shown the quality that he's got, the big goals that he's obviously scored for Manchester United, and I would just loved him to have stayed there and been that player that the younger players could have learnt from and he could have passed on his experiences to. But I just don't think that was him to be able to do that. He is very much
sad,
an individual. It is, because he's such a good player, and that individual and that focus that he's got is why he's obviously been one of the best in the world for a number of years.
I think it's quite sad because when players come towards the end of their careers, they can speak to other players. How do you handle things? What do you do? No one's at his level. Or the only player that is Messi. Messi's still playing, and I'm not sure he'd go knock on his door. Oh, how do you suddenly come down from that? I mean, he's talked about in the breath of one of the greatest, if not the greatest footballer that we've seen. And you think, who else is on that level to be able to speak to him about that? You'd almost have to go and knock on the door of Michael Jordan and speak to an elite sportsman like that. How did you find it retiring? How did you find coming towards the end of your career? You look at Tom Brady. Tom Brady stepped down from the game, and then it was almost like, no, I need it back. I need it in my life. And we're sort of seeing a little bit of a demise of him this season. And you look at that situation and how are they going to handle it? It's a fascinating thing from the psychological point of view of how you deal with that situation. And we're all not criticising them as such, but we are in a way. But yet no one's been in that position, or we don't know of anyone who we could speak to say, well, how was it coming from that elite level to suddenly not being the main man and not being the guy that everyone wanted to go to?
Interesting. There is a hole in that dressing room because he's left it. They were hoping to fill it with Gakpo. That isn't going to happen. So from the United perspective, how disappointing will that be? Yeah,
I think they'll maybe be looking in January to sort of bring in more players. Like you say, they were linked with Gakpo. That's not happening now. So I'm sure they've got other ideas of where they want to go with that. But I think Ten Hag is clearly building something, isn't he? And it's going to take time. There might be a few little bumps along the road. But I just feel that the situations that he's had to deal with, not just on the field, but off the field as well, the Ronaldo situation, Harry Maguire, I think he's doing a good job.
I think the interesting thing is we look at the two clubs, and I'll talk about Liverpool and Manchester United very quickly, is Liverpool have got potential sale on the horizon as Manchester United have. However, Liverpool have still got that deal done, the Gakpo one, behind the scenes very quickly ahead of Manchester United. And I think your Manchester United fans are a little bit frustrated as to say, well, what are the Glazers doing?
Yeah.
Where's that deal? Why has that not happened for us? And I think because Liverpool have got people in better positions now who can deal with that.